Hi, so in this video, I'm going to show you how I made the Genie of the Flaps from my previous video, the Wishing Flaps. So if you haven't seen that video, then go ahead and click the link on the screen now, because critics are calling it a fun-filled romp full of love, loss, and flaps. Flaps. So this is the guy we're going to make. So this is going to be a fairly specific tutorial about how I made him. But it's also going to detail my process for building a larger monster, as this flappy fellow is probably the biggest thing I've made so far. So first, we'll need a materials list. We'll need a materials list. We'll need a materials list. I figured you weren't coming.
I am materials list.
Okay.
I am made from the discarded remains of your arts and crafts materials.
Yeah.
Oh, you know my spiel.
You okay?
I was sleeping in a hedge.
Oh.
People saw the cutaway.
You wanna read out the list?
I like materials. You will need a fluffy cotton wool, clear nail varnish, sculpting tools, a hot glue gun, satin sealer spray, polymorph plastic, acrylic paints, monster clay, scrap plasticine, kitchen foil, white flour, cardboard, eyes of a doll, and most importantly, a lovely liquid latex rubber. Ooh, kissy kissy. And of course, latex thickener. Okay, go now.
Oh, okay, thanks. Bye. So now we've got the materials list, onto the method. And I've built someone to help me out. Introducing Martin Method. Built it myself. Okay, well I'll start Method off. So first we start with the head, which we're going to sculpt out of good old monster clay. So begin by building a base form from plasticine or scrap clay, and then cover it in foil to keep it separate from the monster clay. Put the monster clay in the microwave for a couple of minutes so it'll soften, and then we can work with it. So coat the foil with your monster clay to start building your base head shape, and then we're going to start building those lovely head flaps. So wrap sausages of clay around the head to build the flaps, and then blend them in with your sculpting tools. And then do the same with the cheek flaps and blend those in as well. Once I had the head and the flaps sorted, I decided on eye placement, and then started building eyelids out of sausages of clay, which I then used the sculpting tools to blend in again. That's right, Martin. Do you want to explain the next bit? So next we're going to start on his beautiful flappy body. I actually used an empty plastic sweets tub as a base here, so again we don't have to use as much monster clay, because it's expensive. So I sculpted the neck, the shoulders and the flappy chest, and for the bottom half of the body, I added some more plasticine and foil to bulk out the base shape, and then again covered that in monster clay. I formed the necessary flaps out of clay, and then smoothed them over. And we're going to build over this bit with latex paste, so at this stage smoothness and accuracy isn't 100% important. Now to the good part. The latex! So take some of our liquid latex and add a bit of our latex thickener to it and mix it well. And take this thickened latex and do an initial coat over the body and the head. And now we're going to sculpt those body flaps with some liquid latex paste. So to make the latex paste, pour some liquid latex in a bowl and then slowly add your white flour, mixing thoroughly. Nailed it. Do this slowly as it's really easy to add too much and make it thick, and then you can't go back. Once you've gone thick, you can't go back. Once you have a nice sculpting thickness, slop it on your model, dip your finger in liquid latex, and then smooth out the paste. Also, it's very important to remember to wear gloves, a face mask, and work in a well-ventilated area when using liquid latex. It's important. Once this is dried, I added more flaps and then smoothed as before. And then added more flaps. And then more flaps! Flaps. In the meantime, I kept adding coats of thickened latex to my head sculpt. And then I started working on the base flaps that will hang over the edge of the table. I sized up and cut out a cardboard base shape, and then covered this with liquid latex paste. And then I removed the lovely flappy body from the mold, and I realised it wasn't completely dry on the inside. But that wasn't too much of a problem. So at this stage I realised the puppet probably wouldn't be self-supporting, so I need some kind of internal structure to keep it held upright. So I then built a very basic skeleton out of cardboard and glued it all together with my hot glue gun. And it needed to be hollow so I could get my hand in from underneath and operate the mouth from the inside. So once I had this very basic skeleton, I glued the base flap to it and then glued the front body section to it. So this is us so far. So rather than build another sculpt for his back, I built the rear flaps. Shh, gets demonetized. I built his rear flaps in situ by gluing and taping paper sausages to his back to form the bases of the flaps, and then used a lot of latex paste on the top of these to sculpt the flaps. I then used more latex paste to give the bottom front flap more shape and thickness, as well as tweaking some of the other front flaps. Warning you. I then created a load more front and rear base flaps, including the one that hangs over the edge of the table. Once all these flaps were dried, I glued them to the main flap body. Then, using more latex paste, I beefed up the bottom flaps to give them more depth and flappiness. I soaked cotton wool in latex and fixed it to the top of the neck to give this little guy a bottom jaw. Next, to sort the head, so I filled the head with some of our pillow stuffing, and then cut out the eye holes. And then I painted the eyes a little bit red to make them look bloodshot, and then when the paint had dried, I covered it in clear nail varnish to give it a shine. Once those had dried, I glued them into the eye holes with the hot glue gun. So now we're going to give our head the first coat of paint, and I'm just going to darken the recesses of the flaps with a dark red, and then lightly dry brush over the raised sections. Then once this is dried, I'm going to give the head a coat of unthickened liquid latex. And then when that's dried, we're going to glue the head to the body with our hot glue gun. Paint a square of our thickened liquid latex and leave it to dry. Once that's dried, peel it off, and we have a patch of liquid latex, which we'll use to seal the gap at the back of the head by gluing it down with a hot glue gun and then cutting off the excess. Then with more latex paste, I'm going to give him those all-important neck back flaps, and also use some to blend in the edges of the patch with the head. Now to paint him. So for this little fella, I mostly relied on the natural colour of the liquid latex to create our base tone, and then I just painted the red on the top of that as I did with the head. It's actually a very simple paint job. It just took quite a while because there was so many flaps. When the paint is dried, give the body a coat of liquid latex like the head. So when that had dried, I did a quick touch-up of paint where the latex had washed any away. Then, I took him outside and gave him a coat of our satin sealer spray. I found that not only does this give monsters a nice sheen, but this also protects them when I'm pouring slime and moisture over them for the filming process. So next, I made some teeth out of our polymorph plastic, and if you want to know how I made these, check out my previous tutorials because I've made a lot of teeth. And then I glued the teeth in place with a hot glue gun. Once the teeth were glued in place, then I coated them with our clear nail varnish, and once this is dried, I used some of our thickened latex to go around the bottom of the teeth. It makes the teeth look more like they're in the gums rather than just glued on the top. And there we have it, our beautiful flappy boy. And then to animate him, I just sat him on a table with a hole cut in it so I could reach my arm up inside, and I sat below the table and operated him from below. It's as simple as that. So I'd just like to take a moment to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video, who, if you don't know, are...
Hello,
Oh, you're back.
I am Materials List.
Yes, I know. Is that how this works? Do we have to go back through this every time you walk into a room?
What is Skillshare?
Yes, I was trying to explain that they're a huge online learning resource with classes covering everything from video production and editing, sculpting, fine arts.
Can I learn a video?
Can you learn to make a video?
Thank you.
Yes, you can. Sure.
Can I learn soup?
Cooking? Yeah.
Okay, bye now.
Thanks, Martin. So I use a lot of puppets and practical effects on this channel, but in every video I actually use digital effects, namely After Effects, a lot. To do things like remove my hands from shots, pipes, wires, add flaps to eyeballs, getting swallowed by a giant flap monster, create a whole landscape of flaps.
Welcome to the land of flaps. Welcome to the land of flaps.
And I've genuinely found Skillshare a fantastic place to learn and improve on these skills and really bring your special effects to the next level. So for example, I was watching these tutorials by Geordie, which is a great series of tutorials if you haven't tried After Effects before, but it also covers some more advanced topics like masks, blending, keying, and compositing.
Welcome to the land of...
And this is just one of the many After Effects classes on there. So premium membership gives you access to these classes and loads more, and an annual subscription is less than $10 a month. So Skillshare are giving the first 500 people who click the link in the description their first 2-month subscription for free. So you can try out the service at no cost to you.
Thank you.
It's not for you.
I need 500.
What? No, you can't.
I have friends. They are materials.
Please leave.
No.
This is going badly.
Okay, bye, I'll go now.
Anyway, thanks for watching the tutorial. I hope it was useful. There's his stuff. Thank you, okay, bye.